It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming. Da-da-da-da-da. What's the story, internet? Hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. I am having an amazing day. And I'm sure you know why. But I guess we should talk about yesterday's football. I guess we'll give them credit first. Guess we'll do it in order. But obviously we're talking about the semi-finals. The semi-finals have happened. So, yesterday it was Italy against Spain. And it went about as far as I expected. I was expecting both teams to cancel each other out and for there to sort of be a battle in every single position. And that's pretty much how it went. Both teams were fighting for it. Both teams were giving it their all. And yeah, it went about as I expected it to. So it finished 1-1 in full time. Chiesa scoring in the 60th minute, Morata equalising in the 80th minute. Very cagey, but not cagey, I suppose, just very equal. And then it went the distance. It went all the way through extra time and went all the way to penalties. And Italy finally won on penalties. So yeah, a great victory for Italy, especially considering the rebuild that they've had under Roberto Mancini. Obviously not making it to the World Cup last time was a huge blow. Embarrassing themselves at the Euros in 2016 again. Not that I can talk. England embarrassed themselves in the Euros as well, but you know what I mean. So for them to have come this far is incredible. Commiserations to Spain. They put up a great performance. And yeah, it was one of those that could have gone either way. It was evenly in the balance. So fair play to Italy, fair play to Spain. They put up a great fight. But more importantly, who cares about yesterday's football? We want to talk about today's football. So England versus Denmark. It's the storyline versus, well, the creators of football. And either way, it was always going to be an emotional match, mostly because of Christian Eriksen and everything that Denmark represented. They, like I said, they represented the storyline, they represented the underdog. A great footballing nation, don't get me wrong. They won it in '92, but just they represented the hope of a lot of neutrals, for sure. England has represented a lot of failure over the last 55 years since the 1966 World Cup. And there's been so many chances and so many opportunities and so many times where we should have gone through that we didn't, that this was almost like not our last chance, but this was like, come on, the whole country was behind it. We were at home, everything was there. So Denmark scored first. Great free kick from I need to get his name right. What was his name? Damsgaard, that was it. Although I think I'm saying it wrong. I think it's Demsgaard. But great free kick from the young man. Only 20 years old, he turns 21 in 4 days. So great free kick. Pickford could arguably have done better, but if you watch the highlight, where the Danish players set up was right in his line of sight. So when they jumped, he saw it late, and it meant that he didn't have time to react. If they hadn't been standing there, it wouldn't have been a great free kick. He would have just gone up and probably caught it. But the power behind it, the positioning of those players was great. Then, 9 minutes later, England equalised, yes. Raheem Sterling had an opportunity a couple of minutes before this, and Kasper Schmeichel was immense today, and he was equal to it, and he blocked it. And then finally Sterling gets his chance. Now, it wasn't a Sterling goal, it was a Simon Kjær own goal, but if Simon Kjær hadn't been there, Raheem Sterling would have put it in the back of the net. It was one of those where, yes, it's an own goal, but he shouldn't feel too bad because he was trying to defend it, and he couldn't stop the inevitable, unfortunately. So after that, that's where it remained all the way through full time. Kasper Schmeichel was just as immense, made some incredible saves, went all the way through full time, and then went into extra time. And normally, when that comes to England, it means one thing: it's penalties. And England have been so bad at penalties for the longest time, until the 2018 World Cup, but still, no England fan wanted to go to penalties. Funnily enough, it was a penalty that ended up breaking the deadlock. So in the 103rd minute, Raheem Sterling goes into the box and he goes down. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, was it a penalty, was it not a penalty? There's contact, it's very minimal. I'm not going to argue that it's not minimal. However, contact in the box, sent him off balance, it's a penalty. And it's funny to me that I'm getting lectured about the ethics of football from people who support teams like Italy or Spain or Argentina or Brazil, countries that are renowned for not having the best track record when it comes to ethical football behaviour. So it's funny that I'm getting lectured on that by by those particular people. It's one of those that could have gone either way. You could make an argument that it wasn't a penalty, you can make an argument that it was a penalty. At the end of the day, it was a penalty. And so I was watching ESPN, so they have Mark Clattenburg, ex-Premier League referee, refed at World Cups, refed at Euros before, and his point of view, as a professional referee, was that it was one of those where the ruling on the pitch was a penalty. VAR is only going to overturn it if they saw it as an egregious mistake, as a lack of judgment. And it wasn't. Like I said, you can make the argument that it was or was not a penalty, so they were never going to overturn it because there was that contact. So at the end of the day, I've seen worse penalties given. I mean, did any of us watch the France versus Portugal match? There were 3 penalties, probably only one of them was legitimate. So, yeah. And plus, if you look earlier in the match, Harry Kane was tackled by Norsgaard, or Norsgaard, or however you say his name, and that should arguably have been a penalty. So, it's kind of vindicated from the fact that that Stonewall penalty wasn't given and this contentious one was given. So things have a way of evening out at the end. So, England get a penalty after all of that. Harry Kane takes it. Awful penalty. Kasper Schmeichel quite rightly saves it, but he just can't keep hold of the ball, and Harry Kane gets the rebound and sends Wembley wild. Now, Denmark were so tired at this point. You could see they did not have anything left in the tank. One thing I will say, and I hate it when any team does this, Manchester United does it, and unfortunately England did it, was the time wasting. It was the 109th minute, and we basically ran to the corner flag. You've got 10 minutes of football. Get up and try and score another goal. Because if you score another goal, then you don't have to worry about time wasting. There was an opportunity where Walker was on the right, Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden were in the middle. Arguably an easy opportunity because it was 4-on-3 and he goes to the corner flag. Trippier does the same thing a minute later. Raheem Sterling does the same thing. It was like they were lining up to waste time. So that was my biggest problem, was I didn't agree with that. But overall, it was 2 very evenly matched teams, and on the day, very little separated them. You could argue that the penalty was the major decision. However, if you look at the statistics, England had the opportunities, and if it wasn't for Kasper Schmeichel, could have been a different story. If that Norsgaard tackle had been given as a penalty, we wouldn't have even been going to extra time. So there's arguments to be made all over the pitch. But I will not sit here and be lectured by fans of teams that cheat all the time about the ethics of footballing conduct. Thank you very much. If someone from Germany wants to pipe in, if someone from even Denmark wants to pipe in, or Holland or Belgium, respectable countries, fair enough. But from those other countries, zip it, por favor. You have no right to lecture anyone when it comes to football. Thank you very much. So, I will get off my soapbox now, but with those results in the bag, that means that on Sunday, at Wembley Stadium, the European Championship finals will be Italy versus England. Not the favourites, you could argue, because France were favourites, Belgium were up there, Germany were in the mix, Portugal were in the mix. You know, all these teams, and England and Italy have outlasted all of them. So, credit to both of them, because they've done so well to get this far. And credit to both of them because up until today, England had not been scored on. And up until Austria, Italy had not been scored on for 30 matches. So credit to both of them. Jordan Pickford today breaking Gordon Banks' continuous minutes without being scored on at a major tournament. It was 772 minutes. Unfortunately, just as they brought that statistic up, the free kick came in and ruined that. But, you know, not bad company to be in, Gordon Banks. So credit to both teams. They should be very proud of what they achieved, as should Denmark, as should Spain, because they have done their countries proud. So whatever happens on Sunday, both teams, both sets of managers, both sets of fans, both countries can hold their heads up high, because this is amazing. So England make it to their first finals in 55 years. 55 years. The last time they made a SemiFinals, I was 6 years old. In the Euros. I watched them play Croatia, but the less said again about that is the better. But, yeah. Can the lads do it? We shall see. I think it's going to be a very entertaining match. I think it's going to be quite a free-flowing match. England need to be careful to rectify some of the mistakes that they were making today. However, Denmark are a very pressing side. Italy are not that pressing of a side. They've got class across the pitch, don't get me wrong, but they're not a high-pressing sort of team. They'll pass you to death, and they'll dribble you to death, and they'll run you to death, but they're not going to be right in your face trying to get at you all the time. And so I think it's going to be a very even match for that reason. And I think England will need to treat this match very similarly to the way that we treated the Germany match. Got to have respect, but at the same time play to our strengths. Could go either way. Obviously, I'm going to say that England's going to win, because otherwise I would not be wearing this, and I would not be wearing this, and I would not be here talking about how football's going to come home. So, obviously, I am going to make the argument that on Sunday, England are going to win. Will I be vindicated? Will football finally come home after 55 years? I hope so. So, until then, until Sunday, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, a wonderful weekend, and I will be back with a video beginning of next week to wrap up the Euros. Do a review of the final, obviously, but probably do a review of everything that happened in the European Championships, because it was a great tournament and deserves some retrospection. So, in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe, keeping out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until then, it's coming home.